your glass up high. Turn it up, it's time. Dog boy on the line. Everything will last. Raise your...
Welcome back to episode 285 of the Tall Boy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, I'll tell you, knows we do because we plan it. It's one stupid thing to say, isn't it? What a daft way to start a podcast, isn't it, guys?
It is a daft way to start the podcast, but we start it in that way every single week. Normally, though, you do say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, I'll tell you where the beer's flowing tonight. It's flowing too, and then there's some sort of pun. But no, even in the world, hope you're okay out there in listener land. We've got an absolute belter for you tonight. I've got no idea what we're going to talk about. I've got no idea how many left turns we're going to make, but it'll be fun along the way.
Amen to that. It will indeed. Yeah, exactly. So it's a subject I didn't really want to broach again. We did an episode a while ago, and it's just snowballed a little bit, to be fair, and not in the direction that I really wanted it to.
No.
You know, we've done some episodes which we didn't think were going to be that popular and have proved really, really popular. We've done episodes that we thought, this is going to be brilliant. People are going to love this, and nobody's listened. And this one was one, well, we initially had this idea, didn't we, that we wanted to do an episode. We occasionally do important stuff on the podcast.
Yeah.
Most of the time we don't. This one was one of those ones. So we're harking back, guys, to episode 271, All the Lost Girls. What do you remember about that episode when you think back to it?
I mean, obviously, without giving too much away about what's happened subsequently, I actually thought it was all right. I thought the content was relevant. What was said was relevant. Again, without giving too much away about what's going on, I don't think there was anything massively controversial about it. I felt as though the guest that we had on was relatively genuine. Again, without giving too much away about what's gone on subsequently. And I know that we've done a couple of follow-up, well, certainly one follow-up episode from it. But yeah, I let's just say I didn't quite expect the backlash that we got, based on it. And you've obviously did the follow-up one and put a couple of things to bed as such. But yeah, I remember it being, I remember coming off thinking, that went all right.
Yeah.
That was all right, that one. I felt pretty happy with that.
Yeah. To be fair, and I think that's a pretty solid reflection of it all. I thought the same thing. I actually thought, you know what, that was a really, really interesting episode that we did. We learned a lot. We learned a lot from somebody who seemed very passionate about what they were talking about in LaDonna Humphrey. God bless her. Didn't know who she was beforehand. Know a little bit more about her now. And to be fair, we didn't know anything about her before she joined. And actually, the episode very, very, very nearly, if you remember, didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because there was a confusion over time zones because I didn't know where in the US she was. So I was saying, this is what time we're going to start from using an Eastern time. Because I know that's, a lot of the people we have on are generally New York or Florida based. And I just used that time zone because I had no idea at that time that she was in Arkansas or wherever in the world she was.
Just looking at that comment that's coming, what did I miss? Well, you've missed a hell of a lot, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, a little bit of scandal that we got embroiled in there, Paul. Thank you for joining. So we did this episode. Like I say, very, 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 very nearly didn't happen because we'd started another episode. We were about 20 minutes in.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Yeah, when we got an email saying, I'm here, I'm ready. So we thought, well, we've invited this person on. Let's get going. And actually, it wasn't even the original person I invited on. The original people that I invited on through the episode with was a UK-based one called Missing.uk.
Right.
And, I mean, they are a relatively big charity. And I think they were interested at first, probably looked at a couple of the episodes that we've done recently. We've had that a few times where people look at what we've done and think,
come at me, bro. Yeah, I didn't quite happen, did
it? We do lose a few guests that will say they'll do it, then they see our Christmas output and say no thank you. So we reached out to all the Lost Girls on Instagram, who have blocked us, by the way.
All right, okay, nice.
Yeah. So I can't see any of their content. I'm sure it's as good as it was when we invited them on. God bless them. So they agreed to come on and we communicated with them, but at no point did they ever sign off an email with a name.
No.
So I knew nothing about this, and so we put the episode out there, and like you said, pretty happy with it. It was an interesting episode, wasn't it?
I think the content was I say the content was relevant and what the guests were talking about, was what we felt was quite an important point to raise in terms of just trying to get these ladies that have been either abducted or whatever. I've gone runaways or stowaways or whatever it may be, and actually find them and get them home essentially.
Yeah, and that's what it was all about. We looked at missing people, we looked at victims of strangulation. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So really important stuff. From what I thought was a guest who spoke pretty erudite about it.
Yeah.
And we put it out there. People started listening to it. Not loads. It wasn't a hugely popular episode, which is unusual because I thought it was a good one. And then we got the odd comment here and there, like LaDonna still sucks, commented on one of the YouTube posts. I thought, okay, well, unusual because she's been pretty good to me.
Yeah, and again, just obviously from Tallboy, Adam does a lot of the booking, and at that point, absolutely no indication as to sort of the background of this person that we now subsequently are aware of or partly aware of. So yeah, the odd comment coming in here or there. It's like, oh, well, I wonder why that, and I wonder why that. And then obviously we subsequently find out what the issue is.
Yeah, we do find out what the issue is. The episode of the Leona was actually really interesting. You wouldn't know there was anything missing. Anything missing. Totally agree. Thank you, Piper. Totally agree. And that's what we thought as well. We were really happy with it. And then we got a couple of emails telling us a couple of things about what this lady had allegedly done. I'm not going to say she's done it. I don't know any different, but you know what I mean. There's a fair bit of evidence to support it.
Look, we're not saying she has done these things. We're not, that's up to other people that perhaps have more access to more up to date information, evidence, whatever it may be, than we have. We effectively took her on good faith. Subsequently found out that other people potentially have a different view of her than we had initially. And effectively that's where it snowballed from.
Yeah, exactly. We got a couple of emails. One off a guy called Chris Fike, who was very erudite and very polite. Another one off the host of the Pretend podcast called Javier Lavia, literally saying, guys, if you'd just done a quick Google search on this individual, you would have found out all about her. So I did do a quick Google search about her, and then that's where I came across his podcast. And there was a few Reddit threads as well about various accusations.
But there was prior to that, effectively there was no indication that it was actually her, because she hadn't signed off really with any name on any emails, and hadn't really let us know effectively who she was before the episode. So it wasn't really. And I know that people might say, "Oh, that's sloppy podcast" or whatever, but we sort of take guests on face value, and we didn't really know who it was before they came on.
No.
And we just took them on at their word that they were going to talk about this content. And as Piper said, actually, it was a really interesting, what we felt really genuine episode.
It was, and it's a shame it's no longer up there, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yes. A couple of my work colleagues have said, "Oh, I've been interested in that," and I was like, "Well, you can't get it anymore."
No, it's not there. It's not there, which I think is a shame. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah, I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I got this email off Javier, and at first I thought, do you know what? I don't want to get involved in any of this. We've done an episode. It's quite interesting. Do we need to know the backstory of this individual? And then the comments kept coming, the emails kept coming. Someone had commented on one on the Spotify. We don't get many comments on Spotify, to be honest with you. And it might be the only one we've added that month. And it was like, are you talking about the lady who's harassing everyone? It turns out, yes, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out they were absolutely spot on.
Yeah. The one who's sort of allegedly sending sort of bullying,
hate mail and bullying and anonymous texts and various other things. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like, wow. Okay. So we can't just let this lie. So funny enough, I was off to watch the game of football. I was off to the Stoke game, and I emailed Javier back and I said, "Listen, if you want to come on and help set the record straight, then you can."
And okay. I think that's important, sort of to get out there from Tallboy. If we have got anything that, and I don't know whether we have in the past, I'm sure a lot of things piss people off in the past that we've said, but if genuinely if people feel aggrieved or whatever, then we will always offer the opportunity to balance the argument and bring somebody else on that perhaps has a difference of opinion, and we're pretty shirt on the sleeve, heart on the sleeve, straight up guys that if we made a mistake, then what we did is we then gave an opportunity to redress that balance.
Yeah, indeed. And so we invited Javier on the podcast. Unfortunately, you weren't available that night.
I wasn't. No, and genuinely, I wish I was, and I can't remember. It probably would have. I don't know. It's a work thing. I don't know. But genuinely, I was like, I'm gutted to miss it, and I wasn't there. And obviously, I picked up with you sort of after. You were like, great guy, genuine, straight up guy, and then more of the pieces then started to fall into place, and on the back of what he said, there was then other comments, etc., etc., etc. So that and that's where we find ourselves now, really.
It is, and like I said, it was a good episode. Interesting fella, very genuine man. Like I say, I listened to his podcast, and everything that he said, he backed it up with evidence. So I was inclined to believe him.
Yeah.
Okay, I was inclined to believe, and I still to this day have no reason to disbelieve him. And one of the things he asked me on the podcast was, "What did you think when we first reached out? Did you take us seriously?" And my initial, the answer I gave him was the truth. I did take it seriously, because it wasn't like, if that time that I made a comment about would Lionel Messi cut it in the Premiership, the stuff that we got was pretty hateful. And people slagging me off, and personal names being called. It doesn't really bother me because I don't know these people, but at the same time it was quite humorous. Whereas these emails were quite erudite, they were well put together, they weren't aggressive, they weren't nasty, and there was no name calling. So yeah, I took it seriously, because that's quite unusual.
Yeah, I think if people shoot from the hip and say various things, you're probably less likely to believe them than people that obviously take the time to, whether it be fact check, evidence based responses, etc., etc. You think, well, actually, that you're probably more likely to take that on board then.
Indeed. And then after that, I thought, that's it. We've done our bit now. We've put this to bed. We've done we didn't necessarily do the due diligence in the first place, because we didn't know the name of the individual. And should we be having people on who we can't find out a little bit about them first? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. But now we've put it to bed. We've put a corrective episode out there, so you can listen to that episode. Well, you can't, as it happens. And then you've got the background and the context for any comment that you might read that people are saying that.
Yeah.
I thought, that's it, done. Don't want to address this again. And this is the last time we're going to address this. Just
don't want to address it again, but we are.
But we are. We find yourself. So then I got an email from a chap by the name of David McClam. Now, David McClam is the host of a podcast called We Are Not Afraid, okay, which was a reactionary podcast which he does with LaDonna Humphrey about the episodes that were out there that Javier Leiva put out, okay, and all the stuff and the accusations that he's made, and has, as far as I can tell, backed up with the context of what he's saying. So this chap said, well, if you're going to have Javier on, then you've got to have me on and give me an opportunity to say my piece, because you've said that about, I didn't say anything. I just spoke to a chap who has a podcast and he had a story to tell, and I listened to it. But he wanted to come on our podcast and talk about the reaction to that.
and don't you know it?
Yeah. Paul knows we have let any old riff raff on our podcast because he's been on himself. Yeah. So thank you, Paul. So we got this email off David McClam, and I thought, do you know what? I'm not interested. So I said, look, appreciate your offer.
It's too bad. No, we're done with it.
Amen.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can record something and I will play it on the podcast, but I don't want to do another episode about it, which we are doing now. But I don't want to do another episode
because what happens is you end up with a tit for tat. So he comes on and says, well, Javier said this and this and this, and he's loaded this and he's loaded this, and then all of a sudden you get Javier coming on saying, oh, well, I want an opportunity to respond, blah, da, 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 da. Where'd you end up?
Exactly. You've got to draw a line somewhere. So I went back to him with that. I thought, that's it, bish bash boss. If he wants to record something, guess what? I will play it. You know what I mean? Give him the right.
But we're not talking about it anymore. But we are.
Yeah. So anyway, he came back to me saying that I was a hypocrite because it started off quite respectful. The email did. I'll say that for him. So saying basically you're a hypocrite because you've given him his right to response, and all you give me is this. So ultimately, that's fine. Yada, yada, yada. We're going to talk about you on the podcast, how you aren't giving us a right to reply. You're clearly Team Javier, and that is the response that we're going to give. We'll say how we weren't given a right to speak, which isn't true.
Yeah.
Because I gave him the opportunity to record it. So I thought, fine, I don't really care at this point. I've had enough. I'm bored of this thing. Let's put that to bed.
But it didn't go to bed.
It didn't go to bed, no. And then I got an email off LaDonna, or it wasn't necessarily off LaDonna. I suspect it was because it was from their same email address, but it was from Team All the Lost Girls, CCing in their lawyers, saying basically, we want you to take down the episode that we did with you, the LaDonna did with you. So that's the episode they wanted taken down, which I find unusual.
You see, that straight away, that for me, that's bizarre. Just because effectively that was the episode that LaDonna had the audience, had her right to talk about whatever it was that she wanted to talk about. I would have made an assumption that if they'd have wanted us to take one down, they'd have asked us to take down the Javier one, where he effectively said that everything that she said was BS.
Yeah.
So it was weird that they'd requested take that one down, because that was the episode that she got to talk about the things she wanted to talk about, which was a bit weird.
It is weird, isn't it? And I couldn't get my head around that at first. And the email was titled "Formal Request for Episode Removal." So, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of spiel in there. I didn't really buy into it a lot. But ultimately, we hadn't signed any agreement with her. So, if she wanted it taken down, I felt, you know what I mean? I didn't want to take it down.
No.
I didn't want to take it down because I thought it was a really good episode where we talked about a lot of really important points. And she made the points, which is what, she alleges she wants to do with her platform. You know what I mean? There's other people saying she does this other stuff. And we had this one episode where, as Piper said earlier, it was really interesting. You wouldn't think there was anything amiss listening to it.
No, and we invited LaDonna on. She came on, spoke about the things that she wanted to speak about, and we gave her that forum, we gave her that opportunity. She absolutely came on and spoke what at the time we felt as though was quite a passionate account of what she's done and what all the Lost Girls are doing, to promote themselves, etc., etc., etc. So, to then, as I say, to then find that it was that episode they wanted taken down was a bit weird.
Yeah, I would have thought they want the one with Javier taken down.
Yeah, that's what I just said. You'd have thought that they'd have wanted that one taken down because that was where he effectively debunked everything that she spoke about. But no, they wanted the one taken down that she was actually on. So that was a bit weird.
It was.
But it doesn't stop there.
It doesn't stop there. No. And reluctantly, I took it down. So I recorded a little spiel there called The Lost Episode, where I said, this is what was here. If you want to go and find out why, listen to episode 275, which is the one we did to Javier. Probably should go back and update it now and add this one in as well.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And, that was it as far as I was concerned. I emailed her back, same day. I took it down. I thought, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to hang around on this one. I've said I'm going to do it, so I did it. And I emailed her back and said, look, all done, as agreed, taken down. Got an email back off them thanking us for being so understanding and for a quick response, reiterating that she was only ever interested in this, which is, I said to you, keep up doing the stuff that you did on the podcast, because you seemed really authentic to us and really passionate and caring about it. And, so she emailed back and said, sorry it's gone down this route, or worse to that effect, but I would happily work with you again.
Well, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I thought you might work with us again, but frankly, I'd like to avoid that.
Yeah, we want to avoid any sort of litigation or anything else that potentially is coming our way. So, we're just a couple of English douchebags that enjoy a beer, talking about various things on various topics, and we roll with the punches, as they say. But maybe on this occasion, there was just one or too many punches to roll with at this point.
So anyway, I thought that's it, all done and dusted. Until then, I got another email, and this one was from another fella saying, "This is LaDonna Humphreys, Waterboy henchman surrogate. He's coming for you."
Is he really?
Because you didn't give him a platform. And then there was a link to an episode on Spotify of We Are Not Afraid.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. So
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So they'd done a trailer for what was coming next. And one of the things that they'd said was, and annoyingly, and this is what annoyed me more about everything else in this, he referred to us as the Tallboy Podcast. It's Tallboy Radio.
Yeah, just get the name right, dude. It's not that hard.
Fabulous bit of promotion, and you got the bloody name wrong.
I mean, everybody loves a bit of, free advertising and whatever, and getting your name out there and stuff. But at least get our name right, for Christ's sake.
100%. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so he basically said, he was, and this is why this episode is called "How Do We Get Dragged Into This?" In that trailer, he says he's dragging in Tallboy Radio into this because he believes that Javier, who I'd never heard of prior to him emailing me, had put us up to it to get her on so he had more content for his podcast.
Honestly,
like,
it is
what?
ridiculous how some people's minds think, though, isn't it?
I don't know if he just think that, or if he's just been really objectionable because we didn't let him on. So the episode isn't out yet. I did listen to their last episode, and do you know what I mean? They do debunk a lot of the things that he said. There's no real evidence backed up there. There's a lot of hearsay.
Well, look, I mean,
and rhetoric.
ultimately, and I'm not going to sit here. I was going to say stand here, but I'm clearly saying so. I'm not going to sit here and sort of say, "Oh, I believe 100% that Javier is right." I mean, I wasn't on the episode, but all I can do is, having listened back, he appeared to back it up with lots of evidence-based arguments. So, again, if that isn't the case, then they would have backed that up with evidence-based arguments. And if they haven't done that, then look, we'll leave our listeners to make up effectively their own minds on this. We just wanted to put it to bed.
Yeah. If you go and listen to the Pretend podcast, the guy's spent his time doing about 16 episodes about the whole thing. It would seem like a grand waste of his time if there weren't some truth in it. So, yeah, at some point we will be featured on, and listen, I'm going to be listening out for it. I'm going to enjoy it. So, David McClellan, if you are ever listening to this, you do your best, dude. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
But look, ultimately, if we end up with an extra couple of listeners because all they're doing is every week tuning in to us to see whether or not we actually mention it or not, then hey, I'm all right with that, Jack. You know what I mean?
That's it. And we won't, just to be clear, but
we weren't going to talk about it again, but we are now. So
yeah, and I just wanted to put it out there. Just so you were fully in the loop. And so that was the premise for this podcast. Yeah, exactly. Don't antagonize him. Because it's me who gets the emails.
I know that's why I'm doing it. You're the one that books a guest, you're the one that gets the email. So
yeah. Well, listen, and since then, do you know what I mean? I have the one thing I have thought about is the guests that we've had on. There's something I've never done in the past is do a little bit of Googling around them. So
No, I think you do.
I do sometimes.
No, I think you do, because I think if you get a guest on, I think you absolutely do.
You know what we're talking about.
Come prepared, and you do. You set aside time during the week. You take time out of your your busy life and stuff to do your research, to create your notes, to create your crib sheets and everything else. And I think if by doing that, you ever got to the point where you felt as though, oh, hold on a minute, this doesn't quite feel right, I'm not so sure about this, I think you'd probably pull the plug. Yeah, and it just showed in a way, because we didn't harping back to the original episode, because we didn't really know who it was in terms of a person. No. It was then very difficult to do that sort of check, I suppose.
Yeah, it was, because we didn't know who it was on with. All the notes I had were about the statistics that we never really used as it was. We responded to what she had to say. And I will say this about her. When I can only speak as I have found her, she's been pleasant in the emails that I've had of her. They're not rude, but in terms of David's are a little bit. I don't like the tone of his emails, to be fair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not as polite, but at the same time, they're not aggressive or unpleasant. They're not a nasty read. And the episode that she was on, I found her really pleasant.
Yeah. As I say, go back to what we spoke about, 23 minutes ago, the podcast went live, sort of thing. I actually thought the episode was interesting, entertaining. I thought the content was absolutely something that we should be talking about and we should be raising awareness of. And we spoke about the fact, I think, on the podcast about, the UK and there will be similar sort of charities or similar people out here in the UK that do a similar sort of thing. And it's about raising that awareness, because too many people do go lost, forgotten, unfound, slip through the cracks, or whatever phrase you want to use. And as I say, I felt it was an entertaining, interesting, educational podcast.
Yeah, me too. But that is it. We're not talking about it again. You can say what you like on your podcast. You can write emails all you like. We're not addressing it again. I just wanted to put it out there. I wanted, because it's just rumbled on, and it can rumble on for all it likes. But
ultimately,
at some point, it's going to die a death.
And it will die a death. And in 2 months' time, there'll be somebody else that people are interested in, etc., etc., etc. We just didn't want to get into a tit for tat, he said, she said. We made a podcast on reflection. Was it should we have done a bit more due diligence? Maybe, arguably, but you know, we are where we are. As I say, we're two mates that that live in the middle of the UK. On a Tuesday night, we have a couple of beers, talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. Effectively, try to cause no harm to anybody. Relatively light-hearted. Some of the things we talk about are quite deep, quite serious. Other things are quite frivolous and actually don't mean jack shit to anybody. And people will take us as they find us. And you know, there was no intention for hurt, no intention for slanderous comments, slanderous anything else like that. So it is what it is. We are where we are. It's been put to bed. End of.
End of, indeed. So we are here. We're still here after drinking the world's strongest beer. How did you find that, dude? I enjoyed that episode. I love it when we all get together. We're planning on doing an episode quite soon. We haven't got a date for it yet, but we're going to sit down and we're going to do another episode where we're testing the black stuff.
Yeah, taste the black stuff. Yeah. So so just going back to that black stuff one, we did Black Heart Forged, Guinness, and Guinness Zero. And I think this one we're doing Mackerson, Guinness Original, Murphy's,
and Dorothy Black.
So yeah. So again, you know, I enjoy. Well, I like beer, so I enjoy drinking beer. And those podcasts pick. But no, the world's strongest beer and the world's second strongest beer. We drank them on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you, they weren't great. I thought they, and I said it on the podcast, I thought they look different than what I imagined. I imagined them to be really gloopy, thick, like cough syrupy type, but it wasn't. It was almost spirit, like it was almost like vodka whiskey, and you were very much sold on it being very vodka like. I'm not a massive whiskey drinker, but I was very much like it tasted to me like a whiskey.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you could only have a little bit of it. On the podcast, we sort of sipped a bit, and it did say Kate comes on the bottle like, does it don't drink more than 30 cl, is it, or ml, or whatever?
35 ml. I think.
35 ml in anyone sitting, and I did make the joke about, well, what's one sitting? Can you drink it, get up, come back down, and do it again, sort of thing. But it's not the worst thing I've had in my mouth.
As the actress said to the bishop.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, look, it just tasted like a spirit to me.
Yeah, I didn't think it was too bad. I'll tell you.
I mean, when you drank it, and I mean, the shit the following day wasn't great. I'll be honest with you, but you know, but no, you took a sip, and then when you breathed in through your mouth, and then you got effectively all of the taste that went back down into your throat, and you felt it. It was like, oh god, and you literally could feel it.
It bagged to punch.
It did. The first one, I think, because of the shock value, you were like, oh my god. But then actually, it was like, it's actually not too bad.
No, I can't lie. The first one on reflection.
Interestingly, though, you made an old fashioned out of it and added some whiskey to it that actually took the ABV down. Interestingly, you know, we had whiskey to get it up, but we added some whiskey to take the ABV down. I wasn't a massive fan of that, but then the strongest one, which is 75.5%, you then made like effective cocktail. I don't know, but there was some like ginger in it, wasn't it? Now, I'm not normally a massive ginger fan, but I could actually drink that, and I'm not saying it was okay, and I'd drink shitloads of it, but it was actually okay. And I know that John said the same, and he was like, actually, it was okay.
Yeah, I like ginger as a flavour. I know you're not a big fan, and I was expecting to enjoy that one more because I like an old fashioned.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting to enjoy the old fashioned because I like an old fashioned. I thought what I'm going to do with this is probably going to ruin it. I'm going to get a message off my cousin saying, "What are you doing, dude? Just whiskey and orange liqueur, and you're good, and a couple of glasses of Angostura bitter."
We made a joke, didn't we? And sort of Andy, you know, God bless him, he joined us on the podcast, which was great to have Andy back in it. And you know, I'd love Andy to guest on a few more. You know, we miss Andy, and I know that listeners out there miss Andy as well, but. You know, it was great to have him back on, and you know, we make a joke because he likes his Boilermakers every now and then, you know, so we were like, just tip it into beer, dude, it'll be fine. And he's like, well, this is a beer, so I can't tip beer into beer, can I? I was like, well, no, probably not, but
You say that, but I watched the episode back. Okay, so that you went home. Andy stayed over here.
I went home. I don't remember going home because I was actually drinking Left as well. And so my home is like literally like I would say 10 yards that way. And I don't remember going home. And I don't remember even whether I left any beer here. I don't know whether I drank all the left or left any. I genuinely don't know.
No, Andy left 3 beers behind.
Did he?
They've gone.
Did I leave any left?
No, you didn't.
Did I drink them all?
Yeah.
Shit, dude. that's why I don't remember going home then.
Yeah, so he stopped back because he lives about 40 minutes away. So obviously he's not going to drive after that. So yeah, we watched it back afterwards. So we sat up and I had a whiskey. I think he was on his beer. But I did notice that the bits that he didn't drink, pouring into his beer glass.
No way, did he? And that's probably why I didn't finish his beer then.
Well, no, but he did. He stayed back and he had a beer with it afterwards and left.
Good
left
lad.
3 in the fridge. Which, to be fair, I think he said he was going to bring them for us all anyway. So God
Right,
bless him.
okay.
So yeah, I had a couple of Grimbergen and a left ritual left in the fridge. And one of John's as well was in there as well. So
Really?
it was a veritable treasure trove.
Yeah. Bonus. Yeah, we have a beer episode and you gain beer at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
It's not normally how it works. But yeah. Well, so the other thing I wanted to mention as well, dude, because do you know what's going on sale at the moment? Or when this drops on the audio episode, it went on sale about 5 weeks ago.
NFL tickets.
Yeah.
I've just put because something came up earlier on my social media, and for people that have been with us for a while on our podcast, they'll know that we're all massive NFL fans. Me and Adam in particular. I think Andy was an NFL fan, but then became more of an NFL fan when he started doing the podcast with us and stuff. And I think he adopted the sort of Detroit Lions. Can't believe they picked them because they're shit. Well, they're not.
They're not too bad.
No,
they were shit when he picked them.
Well, yeah, and they're also in the same conference of my team, so that's why I don't like them. And we're massive NFL fans. We've been to London a number of times, and it just so happened that this year one of the international series is in Croke Park, which is in Dublin. And Adam is a massive Steelers fan. I'm a massive Bears fan, and we were like, okay. Oh my God, it's like the whatever anniversary of was it the World Bowl back in the day, and it was the Steelers and the Bears. And the roster this year just so happens that the Steelers and the Bears are due to play. Now, we don't play every year because of the way the roster works in the NFL. But we were like, oh my God, the stars are aligning. And it is definitely going to be the Steelers and the Bears at Croke Park. And that would have just been, it would have been a messy weekend, but it would have been an amazing weekend. Having said that, the Steelers are playing at Croke Park, which is great because it's your team. We probably will get assuming we can. Well, we'll try and get tickets, whether we get them or not.
This weekend they go on sale.
Yeah,
start next week, I think it is.
Yeah, but I wonder whether or not, because again, I googled last time, and when we went to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I got them through StubHub, and I think what happened was that we possibly paid a little bit over the odds, but I think what happens is that people will buy like season tickets and then get tickets for all of the international series games, and then what they'll do is they'll think, well, I can go to that one, but I'll then release that ticket for that one. So I jumped online and went, oh, actually, shit, there's some tickets here for the Tottenham Hotspur game, but they don't want general sale till tomorrow. This is obviously last year. I was like, well, that's it. And then I realized they're StubHub. Tried to buy them. Effectively, they came through to the pay. I was like, yeah, I bought them. So I wonder whether or not maybe there might be people that have, again, got season tickets, international series tickets that maybe release them on StubHub. And we did pay probably more than, not horrendous, but it was over the face value of the ticket. Brilliant seats, by the way, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I don't think you get an unobstructed view there anyway, but great seats. And we had a belting weekend. Can't wait for Croke Park. If we can get the tickets, we're definitely going to go.
We'll try.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to try. It just so happens I'm off that weekend of work.
Work. So I would struggle because obviously it's Ireland and the game is on the Sunday. So what would happen is we would probably go. Well, it depends how pissed we want to get, but you could probably go maybe Friday night and do Friday night, stay all day Saturday night, game Sunday, come home Sunday night, straight back to work Monday. Doesn't sound great. I'm sort of trying to wangle whether or not potentially I can get the Monday off work, which then means that actually you can then go to the game on the Sunday, you can have a couple more beers. And I'm not saying you're going to spend Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but you could go Saturday and spend Saturday and Sunday night and then come back Monday, which might sound better.
Yeah, I have the Monday off work as well.
Yeah,
so
all
that
right,
works.
load it up. All right, fair enough. Fucking hell, dude.
So that's that works for me. That all works for me.
But yeah, well, we're going to try and get tickets. I suspect we might get up very early Saturday, try and get ferry over or whatever at 9-10 o'clock, sort of Saturday morning, maybe stay overnight Saturday, have a few beers around Dublin on the Saturday, stay overnight Saturday, go to the game on Sunday, maybe have a few more beers, because that's nothing. That's one thing we haven't really done, is we haven't really gone to a game and had like loads of beers, because we're sort of worried about then the following day, aren't we?
Yeah. It is an issue.
So it might be nice to then go to the game and have a few beers after the game, stay overnight on the Sunday
in Dublin,
and then come back on the Monday.
Yeah.
So that sounds great.
I like the idea. Funnily enough, you mentioned StubHub. I used StubHub recently. Okay, we'll come back to the American football in a little bit. So yeah, I'd had a few beers one night, and I thought, you know what I mean? The Morrissey gig at Manchester sold out, but I'm going to see if I can get tickets. So I had a look on StubHub, and yeah, they were available. Okay, so again, I paid a little bit over the odds, similar sort of price that you paid for the American football tickets. But I thought, I don't care. I don't know when the last time I'll get to go see Morrissey is, so I'm going to do it. I go by myself, go on Mobilio. So drove up to Manchester on Saturday to go watch him. You know me, I'm a bit of a drifter in life. I'll go with the flow. So I turn up, saw a queue, went and stood in it. You know what I mean? So I'm queuing all the way through. They get through. They open up the gates. They let you through. They scan you in and make sure you haven't got anything. Scan your ticket here. My ticket's not scanning.
Yeah, Dancing on Ice, dude. You went to the wrong place.
no. It was Morrissey. It was Morrissey. God, can you imagine dancing on bloody ice? But no, so I was scanning my ticket and it's not working. And I said to the guy, he says, refresh it. So he could see it was a genuine ticket because it refreshed. You know how it works these days with these codes. So he goes, just wait there, wait for the supervisor. So I went and waited for the supervisor. Supervisor over there told to see these women.
Computer says no.
Yeah, basically, that's what I was expecting. And I thought, this time, I didn't really know what was going on, why my ticket wouldn't be working, because it is a genuine one. It's been downloaded from Ticketmaster. It's in the Co-op Live app, which is the one you have to use. It's not like me in. So anyway, the guy who's there, obviously, I've been waiting a while, and a few people have been let through, and the guy just goes, have you tried a ticket? He says, yeah, look, I'm refreshing it. Nothing's happening. And show it doesn't work. He goes, tell you what, just follow the next person through. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. If that solves the problem. Shouldn't really be doing that, but yeah. Cheers, dude. So I followed him through, and anyway, I went to go past this guy, and he goes, no, put your wristband on. I was like, all right, put my wristband on. Standing. what's going on here? I'm paying for a standing ticket. I'm way up in the gods.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously. So the reason why it wasn't working, because that wasn't where I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be around the other side of the building.
To be fair, dude, you haven't really been ever known for your
attention to detail,
and geographical knowledge of where you should be at any given time.
Geographically, my attention to detail is virtually.
So you got standing. So you were on affecting the mosh standing.
Right, yeah, and I obviously once you got in there, I got there nice and early, literally just so the doors were ready to open, and there was a whole lot of people queuing to get in to the standing area so they can get as close to the front. And I thought, I'm there by myself. I'm driving, so I can't have a beer, so I might as well just go queue up. So yeah, I was right near the front, dude. It was awesome. I should have been way up in the gods.
Good work, kid.
Yeah, it was cracking. It was cracking.
And that's what happens when you blag it, folks.
Yeah,
so it works sometimes.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. On this occasion,
good gig.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, really fantastic. Really, yeah, it was. It was really good. It was the second big gig I've been to. Like,
which stadium was it?
Co-op Live.
Okay,
so it's the biggest crowd.
I was normally because he can do like quite intimate gigs and stuff, can't he? But that's quite a big. I say relatively big.
I prefer the smaller intimate ones.
Yeah.
So I've seen him in the Dome in London, like the O2 Arena. That used to be the Millennium Dome. And then this is the biggest crowd I've been in. So 23,500 people were there. So sold out gig, big deal. But yeah, I prefer the smaller ones. But it was really good, and it was weird being in that size of a crowd since COVID, and you can tell like normally. And it's a funny. It was set. I went to see Jamie Webster last year. I think there was about 25,000 people in Sefton Park. Yeah. And we went and stood there, and there's this woman next to me. She goes, "Don't get too close. This is my area here." I thought, you're in a fucking crowd, love.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
Yeah, wait until he comes on stage.
Yeah, that's gone.
Yeah, your area is gone. Trust me. That sounded very wrong. But yeah, and I thought it was weird. And then, like, there was no pushing and stuff. There probably wasn't right at the front, I imagine. was no pushing and shoving. Nobody was pushing about. And I thought, this is weird. You know what I mean? I'm used to the old gigs where I'd go home smelling of somebody else's sweat.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
with a couple of beers thrown over you and
Yeah.
kaboot, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I found it very, very strange and quite disconcerting, you know. But at the same time, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, not my scene.
No, not your scene. No, I appreciate that. It's not for everyone.
Look, you know, yeah, everybody knows. Again, if you've been with us for a while on the podcast, I'm not a massive Morrissey fan. It doesn't float my boat. Adam is a massive Morrissey fan. I think it's weird because I think what we can probably both agree on is, you know, when you see somebody live, you know, and you go to a gig and you see them in the stadium or the arena or wherever it is, you know, I absolutely agree with that in terms of, you know, your small intimate venues are unbelievable. I'm hoping my stance changes because we're going to go see Coldplay in Wembley at the end of this summer. So I think it's back end of August.
How many people are going to be there?
90-odd thousand, I think, something like that, 80-odd, 90-odd thousand. And again, I quite like Coldplay's music. Some of it's a bit shit, but most of it is decent, I think. But one of the things that sold it for me was that every single person that I know that has gone to a previous gig has said the show is amazing. So it's not only whether you like the music, but actually you are part of the show and you've got the lights and you've got and the experience is meant to be brilliant. So, but that's Wembley Stadium. Now, obviously, I've never been to a gig at Wembley. Obviously, we've been to for soccer for our American fans and football and American football and NFL and all that. And so I've been to Wembley loads of times, but never for a gig. So I'll be interested to see what it's like. I'm hoping you get that. Well, you won't get the intimate atmosphere, but I'm hoping you still get the atmosphere. And everybody that's been to see Coldplay that I know has said it is amazing. And again, whether you like the music or not, it's one of those things that I think you've got to go and experience. So we're doing that at the end of the summer. Will it be as good as an intimate venue where you literally will be smelling the person's next to your BO and everything else? Possibly not, but in a way that's a gig. So we'll wait and see.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I was sort of sat when I was stood there, I was almost thinking, I'd kill for a sit down right now.
Yeah, and now we're
not getting any younger.
Now we have a seat, but we'll probably stand for the whole of the concert and the whole of the show. So they think, yeah, at least you've got a seat you can potentially sit down in. But look, getting back to the NFL. I'm hoping we get tickets. I really genuinely hope we can. I think we're all going to jump on this weekend. I'm making an assumption there'll be the three of us. Andy's allowed nowhere near booking the hotel, by the way. But yeah, assuming it'll be the three of us, I'm hoping we can get tickets. If we can, we can. It'll be an amazing weekend. It'd be interesting to see Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I don't get that, if I'm honest. I genuinely, for NFL fans out there, we're going to talk about in the next 5 minutes about quarterbacks and Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't get it.
I was disappointed to see Fields go in the first place.
Don't get it.
Don't understand why. I wasn't that thrilled. Like, the Steelers fan base out there pretending that they're happy to have Mason Rudolph back there. And, then we brought a guy.
But Mason Rudolph's not your franchise quarterback.
No.
Now, Justin Fields, obviously, as a Bears fan, we brought him in potentially as our franchise quarterback. We've then gone a different route and we've now got Caleb Williams in, which he might be a franchise quarterback, a bit like, I suppose, Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. But the Steelers had the opportunity to have Fields and start him and develop him. And I think he's got genuine attributes. I think he's got more attributes than a lot of other quarterbacks out there. Aaron Rodgers, yes, he's got the CV. Yes, he's got the resume. He's got the arm. He's got that aura about him. He's not as mobile as he was
42
fucking 20 years ago. He hasn't got the arm he has 20 years ago. He can't read he can read a defense. I get that. And it's a bit like Big Ben for you guys. You know what? Can he drive an offense down the field, make plays? Yes. Is he as mobile as he was 20 years ago? No. Is he enough to carry your offense? I don't personally think so. But I think a lot of other people will get him. I think he'll do decent, and I hope Tomlin again extends his record of winning seasons and because he's on an amazing run of winning seasons and stuff. So
I hope so. But if you follow the Steelers fan base on Facebook and on the different social media, there's a general feeling that this is the year that it comes to an end.
really,
Yeah, even though we got DK Metcalf come in, I just don't think that. I just don't see. First of all, I don't think Rodgers will last. I like the guy that we brought in as quarterback during the draft. I know he was quite low down. This Will Howard guy. Everything I'd read about him and that I've seen looked really, really good, and it was a bit of a steal for us. Pardon the pun. And then we brought in Rodgers, and it was almost like it was a done deal. This was going to happen, but it's not, because Rodgers was being an arse. The Steelers weren't going to.
Well, Rodgers is an arse full stop, because you only have to look at sort of the contract negotiation when he went to the Jets, and you're like, genuinely, he's been a bit of an arse. And I have an absolute passionate hate for Aaron Rodgers just because of historically what he's done to the Bears when he was obviously with the Cheeseheads. So I have a genuine dislike of the guy and everything about the guy. I'm sure he's a lovely bloke.
Sure he is.
But if he walked down the street next to me, I'd happily punch him in the fucking face. Just because of the years of hurt he's put up on the Bears. But, you read a couple of the forums and a couple of the NFL pages and stuff, and you talk about the fact that he is a bit of a cock when it comes to negotiation, because effectively, and don't get me wrong, he gets what he wants, but I'm not convinced he's enough to carry the Steelers offense, if I'm honest.
No, I'm not either. I don't know what's going to happen with this.
Is he fit enough to play? What is it, 15, 16 games a season or whatever it is? I mean, if you qualify for the playoffs, what do you get, like 17, 18 games?
One at best for us. It's been. We've not.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. But if you're in the playoffs, then what are you going to get? You're going to get what, 15 regular season games?
Yeah.
Potentially 3 in the playoffs. So you're looking at 18 games. Are you going to get 18 games out of?
I don't see it.
I don't see it. And I know with the NFL, I mean, it's a physical game. It's a young man's sport, man. And you only have to look at some of these Asian quarterbacks, and they live on past glories. And look, I'm a bit of a nostalgic guy, in a way, if it wasn't for him, I'd love him to piss off the Skins. What are you on about? For God's sake, man!
But Ryan, Hacker,
happy. Hi, Ryan.
good to hear from you.
Oh, behave yourself now. You're just winding me up now.
The Bears are still shit.
Yeah, I reckon the Bears will have a better season than the Skins this next year.
Than the Skins?
Come on, Ryan. What do you reckon? Come on, pal.
I'm not convinced.
I think the Bears will have a winning season this year, and I don't think the Skins will.
I think that's a very proud boast.
Absolutely.
I don't see it.
Hi, Ryan.
Yeah. No, in all honesty, I don't see the Steelers having a winning season this year. I think that one's going to go out there. I mean, yeah, you do need drug testing when you think the Bears are going to have a winning season. Bless you. But yeah, no, I don't see. I think this is when that record has to come to an end, and I think this is when it comes to an end. And I don't know if this is Tomlin's sort of last long bomb. Let's just see if this works. Yeah, I wonder. He's done. He's done.
So where does Tomlin go then? So at the end of the season, let's say, the grand hurrah, the Steelers end up, I don't know, like 8-7 or whatever it may be, or 7-8 or whatever. Where does he go?
I don't see why he can't go college football. You know what I mean? And take one.
Do you not think he'd take another NFL franchise?
No, I don't see it.
Do you not see it?
No, I don't see it. No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No. Well, I could be wrong. I just wonder if it's the last hurrah. Let's try it and maybe give somebody else a go. Let's use that. He's like the third professional coach that the Steelers have ever had. She's absolutely
it's stupid.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know this. I'm making it up. He has to be the longest serving coach at an NFL team currently, surely.
It's an interesting one, that dude. I think you might be on the money there. What he's been there, was it 18 years?
I can't think of anybody. Now you'd go back to the Patriots with Belichick, yeah. But he obviously isn't still there. But I don't know how long he was with the Patriots. But he's got to be close to the guy that was there for the longest period of time with any given team. And currently he has to be the longest serving head coach, hasn't he? Surely.
I would have thought so. Yeah, I'd have thought so. If anybody's
listening or whatever, yeah, absolutely. Hit us up, let us know. But it has to be.
For us.
Yeah, Google, yeah. Ryan, come on, get on your computer, dude.
Yeah, so I mean, it's certainly going to be an interesting Steelers team. It's going to be interesting. I hope we can get tickets. The one thing that irks me a little bit is that it's against the Vikings, because the last time that we saw the Steelers play the Vikings,
Yeah, but you see that in a way that doesn't bother me because what it means when I go to Croke Park, I can absolutely 100% get behind the Steelers because the Vikings are a team that are obviously in my conference and therefore I absolutely detest them and hate them with a passion. So that does mean that in a way, for once, we can actually be cheering for the same team.
that would be a first, yeah. Apart from the last time that we did, which is when
Apart from the last time,
yeah.
But other than that, then the time before that, it's fine.
I'd like to meet up with some of the characters that we met up last time.
Oh, I can't wait for you to see that dude.
Yeah.
The little Viking dude when we walked in, Roethlisberger, Jack Cheeto, every said, yeah, that was great.
Dude, Roethlisberger sucks.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and he was the guy that's
Yeah, you can
full
say
on
that.
like,
Yeah, you can
like
say that.
horns, like built like a meat axe. He was only about 4'3", but you know what I mean.
Don't insult the man. We could be seeing him in a couple of weeks' time.
Adam's 7'3", he's 4'3". I mean, you know what I mean. It's that. I mean, the bloke will punch Adam in the cock, but you know what I mean.
Please don't. That's one place I don't really want to be punched. I don't really want to be punched.
No,
full stop.
I mean, again, so that was the year when we went. So we went to London, and I think that was when Regent Street. It wasn't Trafalgar Square. It was when Regent Street was closed off, and there was the fan rally on the Saturday, and we went up Regent Street, and then they didn't serve beer at all on Regent Street. But then you hang a right, and we come off Regent Street, and then there's basically like a pub on the corner, and Adam's got like a Steelers jacket on or t-shirt on with like Roethlisberger on the back, and we walk in. And it's like 2 pints of Peroni or whatever it was. And this was back in the day. And it's like, yeah, that's like £15.80. I was like, fucking hell, this is London prices. You know, I said, Jesus Christ, I've got 40 quid on me. I might need to go to the bank here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you turn around.
You kept the glasses, didn't we? For fucking.
Yeah, we'll print your glasses. Absolutely, yeah, I've still got them actually. And then we turn around, and this guy who's about this big, and Adam's about this big, and he's like looks up at him, and this guy is stacked. I mean, he's literally got muscles on muscles. This guy, and he's got a full-on helmet. He's got a Viking beard, and he's braided, and he basically looks like a dwarf off Lord of the Rings. That's what he looks like, and he looks fucking nails. This guy. And he's like, Roethlisberger. It's dead funny one. It's brilliant.
It was. Then we met some other characters as well. There was another guy in a purple suit as well that we were chatting to, and he was a pisser. He was a real good laugh. He was.
It was a good weekend. That was. Yeah. And what one of was that the year that we spoke to Kevin Cadle? God rest his soul. Was that the year? So as we were walking up Regent Street, and he was there, and we were like, "Hi, Kevin," and stuff. And we always sort of say when we go to these places, like, "Oh, you need to get like your celebrity radar out and stuff, and see if you can meet celebs and stuff." And we spoke to Kevin Cadle, God rest his soul, and that was it. Where are you from? I was with Cheshire, and what he said, like, "Oh, Cheshire's shit," or whatever he said.
Cheshire's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh, cheers, Kev.
Yeah. It's like, where'd you come from? Well, was it Widnes or St. Helens or whatever he's talking
Warrington.
about? Warrington.
He'd coached
No,
the
was
basketball
it? Yeah.
side in Warrington. I thought, actually, to be fair, I can understand
Warrington
that
is
one.
shit, yeah.
It is horrible. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
I can't disagree with that big Kev. We saw Cecil as well, didn't we?
We did see Cecil. I got a photo with Cecil, and that was my profile pic for ages. And I was like, "Go on, Cecil!" And I got my Walter Payton sort of running back sort of Legends shirt on, and it was like, "Woo, come on, kid!" But yeah, that was. And then so we always have this thing about like celebdar and can you see various celebrities? We always give ourselves a couple of challenges on the NFL weekend, and one of them was like get a photo with the cheerleader and get on the pitch, and like you're never going to get on the pitch because like that's against the law, so you'll get arrested, sort of thing. Sean Gale was the closest. I nearly got a photo with Sean. Well, I didn't really get that close. The security guard stopped me.
The security guard was pretty certain you weren't going to get that photograph.
I come tanking because Sean Gale obviously bears absolute legend. I mean, the secondary, like literally just like he is a legend. I come tanking down the stairs, like literally doing an interview for what must have been like Sky Sports or whatever. And I come tanking down the stairs, and the security guy was like, a bit like Gandalf, he's like, "You shall not pass." And I was like, "Well, dude, it's Sean Gale." He's like, "I don't give a flying fuck who it is. You're not getting on there." I was like, "All right, okay, fair enough."
Brilliant. It was brilliant. They are good weekends, and I hope we can get tickets and we can have one in Dublin. It's going to be a bit weird because one of the things I always look forward to every year is just a weekend down in London. I love London. London is one of my favorite cities to visit. It's a fantastic city, and you know, there's just the history. Don't get me wrong, Dublin's got its history, but London, it's a very, very special place, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love London. I've never been to Dublin, so if we can get to
Never?
that, no, never been to Dublin. No, part of the reason why I'm desperate to get tickets this year is obviously, if we can go, we go on the Saturday. You can do a Guinness tour and various other things, and we can have a few beers and stuff, and you can go to Temple Bar and this, that, and the other. But I've never been, and I'd love to go. A couple of people put me off. Well, a couple of people put me off going with Jenny, and Jenny's my wife. The same sort of thing. She's like, well, can be a bit scuzzy and this, that, and the other. And we wanted to go, and then we've been sort of put off. Having said that, going with a couple of mates who were going on the lash for a couple of days, it sounds absolutely perfect. But yeah, compared to London, I don't know. I love London. It's an amazing city. It's brilliant. Just so much to do, so much to see, so much to eat, so much to drink. And we've always had belting weekends there, haven't we?
We have, yeah. I have been to Dublin, but no, I mean, we're talking. I've been twice, and the last time was, I would say, it's not while I've been with Kim, and I've been with Kim 20 years this year,
Yeah.
so it's a long
Yeah.
time since I've been to Dublin. And you're right. I mean, it is a pretty scuzzy city in places. You're going to get fleeced in the Temple Bar region. We're still going to go. We'll still have a part of Guinness there. Don't you worry about that. And we won't do a podcast while we're there. We're trying to kid, but we'll take some pictures.
And look, whenever we go anywhere, we're always, we'll do an outside broadcast here, and we'll take mics and stuff. And it's just a bit of a ball, like carrying them around and this and that. And it would be amazing. It'd be amazing to go there and do a podcast from Temple Bar. It would on NFL weekend, because ultimately that's where, that's where Tallboy Radio was sort of born, really. The premise was, we went down to London for one weekend, and there was myself, Beans, and Andy, and we sort of said, actually, you know what, if we did a podcast, if we just chucked a microphone in the middle of the table and recorded what we're talking about, it could be anything from world politics to football to beer to whatever it may be.
Just a slight aside, it's just reminded me of something, actually, which I didn't find out until after we recorded the episode with the beer. Okay, where we wish my brother happy birthday. So when this goes out on audio, his birthday is going to be miles and miles and miles away. But happy birthday, John! If you watched it on the live stream, it's his birthday today.
Happy birthday, John!
If you listen to it on the audio, happy birthday, guys! Because this one goes out on the 6th of July,
and my birthday's the 7th of July. So, woo! Happy birthday to me! Get in.
It is, but okay. So that episode where we had me, you, and Andy all sat around the table, and John and Matilda as well. But I got a memory pop up on my social media where it reminds, this is what you're doing on this day. 5 years previously, we'd sat down and recorded the first ever episode with the three of us. The 5th.
Really?
Yeah. So we recorded that the 6th of June, 2025. 5th of June, 2020 was when we recorded the NFL episode for Beans the Stuff.
No way.
Bizarre how these things could turn out.
Wow. And here we are, 5 years later, 280 episodes later, if that was the 5th episode, and we're now 285 or whatever.
Right. No, so it's 5 years behind. So that was episode 18.
Oh, okay.
Episode 18.
Okay. Right, okay.
But yeah.
But
wow.
200 and God knows how many, 5 years.
Mad.
Yeah, stupid. And Adam wrote me in, I'll do a podcast, dude. Yeah, okay, I'll do a few, see where we are. And yeah, I don't mind Tuesday nights. And then it's like, and I feel really guilty because I craft loads of sort of Sundays and Wednesdays and Thursdays and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I can do Tuesday and that's the podcast. But, 285 episodes, like 78 countries.
78 countries.
78 countries have downloaded Tallboy. And you know what? Pedro, the farmer in deepest, darkest fucking Uruguay, wherever you are, God bless you.
It's the only anyone listens in Uruguay, but if you want to, we'd love it.
Well, you know what, Pedro, move from Colombia to Uruguay, wherever you are, and look, when we joke, but 78 countries is a decent number.
Good tally.
It's a good tally.
It's a good tally. We gotta, we appreciate everybody who takes the time to listen to any episode. If you listen to this one, fair play, because we've just rambled on an alien about our.
Oh no, people will like this one.
I think so. I think you're probably right.
Me and you talking shit, having a few beers.
Do that.
People like that. Well, yeah, exactly.
Funnily enough, when you say about like episodes crying off, so like Vernon emailed me earlier about, and I was like,
Good old Vernon.
yeah, getting him on again, and it was like,
He's a podcast freak. That guy. He's like, is
loves
he
it.
making money out of it or something? Because like,
well, not out of us, I know that.
well, no, not of us, no. But he's desperate to drive his social media profile. That guy.
I think he just likes coming on our podcast. To be honest,
Do you think he's
yeah.
got a thing for you?
That's what I'm saying. That wasn't where I was going. But he was sort of saying like he's got some stuff in June where he can't join us after that for a while. And I was like, wow, can you squeeze us in before? I'm thinking I could do this Sunday. It's Father's Day. Kim is going to kill me.
Oh, I can't do this Sunday, dude. No.
Gaz would absolutely kill me. So I had to say, look, dude, we'll the second you're available, shout us up. We'll have you back on again.
One of the guys at work listened to the podcast, the 9/11 podcast with Vic, and I was talking to him about the podcast, and he's like, "Oh my god, what you talking about?" So I was giving him a bit of spiel, and he went, "Oh my god, is it shit?" I was like, "Yeah, a lot of it, yeah, but some of it's pretty good." And he listened to the 9/11 with Vic, and he's a bit of a conspiracy theory guy anyway. And he went, "I love 9/11," and he said Vic was incredible on that podcast. I went, dude, you need to listen to the first episode we ever did with Vic, because some of the stories he told, we literally teed him up, wound him up, let him go. And me and Beans just pissed ourselves laughing for an hour or whatever it was. And Vic, God bless you. I love you to bits. Your podcast is amazing, by the way. And so I said to the guy at work, like, you have to listen to that first episode that we had Vic on, because some of the stories, I'm chuckling now thinking about him. It was just a golden episode, and I don't know whether they've got any, many or any listeners or views, whatever. But that guy is an absolute one of our legends.
We need to get him back on at some point in the very, very near future. We've done quite a few with Vernon now, and I love the episodes with Vernon. They're very different episodes. He's very factual. He's very straight down the line.
Yeah,
Vernon. And he, you know what I mean, and he has an agenda to what he wants to talk about, and it's always truth and justice, and that's how he operates, and that's why I love the guy. I love having him on the podcast as often as we do, and we'll be having him back on again. And he's often want to hear when I get an email from a listener, I would say about half of them are about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, honestly, at the moment, yeah, the episodes that we've done with him recently.
God love Vernon.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Vic, and Vic, you know what? You'll always have a place in our heart, dude. And you know what? Keep booking us. The fee is in the post. Booking agent in the States. If you've got anybody else, dude, just show them our way.
Well, he sorted us out with quite a few.
He has, and nobody's let us. There's been nobody that's disappointed yet.
No,
absolutely not. They've all been amazing guests. So, Vic, if you're listening, crack on, kid.
Absolutely, and we'll have you on again soon. Don't you worry about that. I am pretty much all booked up now till the end of July. Looking at August. So maybe we'll get him on after that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get him on. We'll get him on. August at some point. Maybe into the new academic year, whether it be September and stuff. But Vic, our heart is with you, dude. You know that. And as I say, if you haven't got a chance, for our listeners, if you haven't got a chance, check out Vic. He is incredible. His podcast is amazing. The stories he tells are incredible, and the guests that he has on are phenomenal.
And more often than not, they'll turn up on the Tallboy Road Radio podcast a couple of months
later. And if you badger him and you keep messaging him, then as I say, 2 months later they're with us. So happy days.
Yeah. But for me, I think that's it, dude. I wanted to set the record straight. It's done. Lying in the dust or whatever.
Lying in the sand.
We're not talking about it ever again. Sick of that nonsense. I don't know how it happened. It won't happen again. They probably will.
Well, yeah, it might happen again. It won't. No, it won't happen again. Look, we've been there. We've done that. We won't go back. If it does, it does. Do we want it to? No. I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. We put the record straight for the first half. We've chatted absolute shit for the second half. Ryan, love you to bits, but dude, come on. Yeah. Until the next time, where we'll be talking about something absolutely completely different.